Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 11 Spotlight on What's Next 2026. Today, we're talking about from trust to traction, turning confidence into scalable progress. This is Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the CEO of Global Innovation Strategies, bringing you this phenomenal session. So, over the past several weeks, we have walked through a deliberate leadership progression. Week 8 reminded us that momentum often develops quietly through disciplined continuation. Week 9 challenged leaders to move beyond reacting to change and begin acting for it. Week 10 elevated the conversation further, showing that in an AI accelerated era, trust is no longer a communications function, it is operational infrastructure. And so now week 11 addresses the next leadership question. Once trust is established, how do organizations convert that confidence into sustained traction? Because in 2026, trust alone is not enough. Trust must translate into massive forward motion. So, the emerging global leadership pattern across sectors, government, defense, technology, healthcare, financial services, etc., a new leadership signal is becoming clear. Organizations are spending enormous energy and budgets building governance, transparency, and accountability structures for AI, cybersecurity, and digital transformation. And while that work is absolutely necessary, something interesting is happening. Many organizations can successfully establish trust frameworks, but then they stall out. The systems are credible, the oversight is sound, the governance is in place. But momentum slows because leadership is hesitating to scale. In other words, trust exists as a baseline, but traction is not following. So the next leadership shift we're seeing is that high-performing organizations in 2026 are recognizing a new discipline. Confidence must be converted into controlled acceleration. Because once systems can demonstrate integrity and reliability, leaders must deliberately expand their impact. Otherwise, governance becomes friction instead of foundation. So the leadership question becomes, where can we move faster now that trust exists? So there are 3 traction moves for week 11. And first is to expand what has already earned trust. Organizations often chase new initiatives instead of scaling proven ones. But traction rarely begins with novelty. It begins with replication of what already works. So we need to look for programs or systems that have demonstrated operational reliability, stakeholder confidence, clear governance, and measurable results. Then expand them. Because scaling proven success is one of the safest forms of innovation. Number 2 is shorten the distance between insight and action. In many organizations, the gap between analysis and execution remains the biggest barrier to progress. Data is so uber abundant at this point in time, but insights may or may not be clear. Wisdom may not be able to be extracted and reharnessed for further momentum. And so sometimes action stalls because the decision pathways are either slow or unclear. So traction requires us to tighten the loop between insight, decision, execution, and feedback loops. Organizations that can compress this cycle will gain enormous advantage. And then number 3 is the shift from oversight to enablement. Governance systems definitely must continue to protect integrity, But mature leadership systems eventually evolve beyond oversight. They begin through a look at how many ways we can enable progress. Instead of asking only what could go wrong, high performing leaders ask, what is it now safe to accelerate? This mindset transforms governance from constraint into capability. So, why does this matter so much now? Because global leadership in 2026 is defined by simultaneous pressures, AI driven decision cycles, workforce capability shifts, digital transformation fatigue, rising regulatory expectations, and public demand for transparency. Organizations that fail to convert trust into traction will feel safe, but will ultimately stagnate. Organizations that scale responsibly will accelerate innovation adoption, improve workforce confidence, increase operational clarity, strengthen stakeholder credibility. The difference is not technology, the difference is leadership posture. So, our week 11 reflection is for us to take a moment this week to consider, where has our organization already earned trust? Which initiatives are proven but underscaled? Where does governance slow progress unnecessarily? What success could we replicate more widely? Sometimes the next breakthrough is not invention, it is simply an expansion of the innovative capabilities we've already deployed and grown and standardized. So choose one initiative that has demonstrated reliability and trust this week. Then ask, what would responsible scaling look like? What resources would it require? What governance guardrails must remain? Then take the first step towards expanding it, because momentum grows when trusted systems begin moving faster. So, our closing thoughts for today are that architecture stabilizes change, trust strengthens confidence, but traction converts both into progress. And in the leadership landscape of 2026, the organizations that thrive will not simply build trustworthy systems, they will scale them with intention, because the future will belong to leaders who know when to stabilize and when to accelerate. This is Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the CEO of Global Innovation Strategies, wrapping up week 11 of Spotlight on What's Next 2026. From trust to traction, turning confidence into scalable progress.